Alright guys, TacticalRab here and today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. The pros' frustration with hackers in Modern Warfare 2 is reaching all-time highs. Ranked play has been so good for the competitive Call of Duty scene over the last several months or so, but the likes of aBeZy, Ghosty and Dashy not at all happy with the prevalent hackers in this game and want something to be changed ASAP. Very much enjoy to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I greatly appreciate it. First of all, this is going to be my fantasy team going into Major 5. This is the penultimate chance you guys have to enter. It's all free and stuff to put your team together. We've changed around the pricing a little bit this time. You guys can see here that Octane is 10. There's only two $10 players, I believe, in Octane and Dashy, I think. There's a couple of $9, a few for $8, and then there's a lot in the kind of $5, $6, $7 range. You've got $25 budget to put together. So it's basically there's more variables, I think, this time. There's more potential teams you can put together. Last time out, I thought it was quite clear that Drazah was a great pick, and outside of that, everyone who took it super serious picked a relatively similar team. I think this time there's way more variables in play. I've gone Cellium, who's only $8 this time actually, and FaZe have a relatively easy run in terms of their qualifying matches, I think. We'll see that slightly later today. Envoy was the cheapest Thieves player. I wanted to get a Thieves player, but I couldn't quite manage to afford Kenny. Drazah, I think Drazah was 9 and Octane was 10, so I went for Envoy, and then I had $10 more to spend. I went for Scraps. I had to choose a $4 player realistically, and I don't know, I feel like Scraps is maybe the best option, but I'm not really sure. And then I had $6 left, and I was kind of torn between going for a Beans or potentially a Vivid, and then eventually I settled on Cammy, because end of year Cammy before has been pretty good, so we're going to go for this. But yeah, if you guys want to get involved, feel free to do exactly that. Also wanted to mention, big update here from Jacob Hale. He's been putting together, I know that JoeDeceives has done this in previous years as well, the current contract status for various pro teams or various players on those various pro teams. So the standard contract, now this is assuming that no new contracts have yet been signed, just because I think towards the end of last year, Toronto signed new deals. So these are the 12 teams in the league, and the standard contract, of course, in the CDL is a 1+1 contract. This has been the case for years, but now they are allowed to do a 2+1, maybe even a 3+0, not exactly sure. But apparently, Arcitys and Sparta are on that 2+1 deal, despite the early rumours they were on a 3-year deal. But I guess that is kind of what it is, but it's just the final year is a possible extension from the team. So 1+1, basically, they sign you for a year, and it's the organisation's decision whether they extend the contract for one more year. So we can see the likes of Fame and Real that were there on Minnesota last year, they had their option extended. Obviously, Thieves, a similar story as with the Seattle Surge, as with actually Dashy here, because Shotzzy and co, even Shotzzy signed a 2+1, it seems. Understandable from the OpTic perspective. So quite a few players that had their option extended after last year, for example, Temp, and that means, so when it says option extended, that means they are guaranteed an unrestricted free agent at the end of this year. They might be signing a contract right now to set themselves up for next season. That is possible, but if they don't, for example, Pred, who certainly won't be, his option is extended after last year, as is the entire team, so they will all be UFAs at the end of this season. That means they can go anywhere, no buyout, all this type of stuff. Now, does it mean they won't still be on Surge? Not necessarily. Surge could re-sign those players. We have seen in previous seasons, London and others release their entire team and then sign a couple of them back, because that's just how the contracts tend to be. But for a lot of these teams, for the majority of the league, they have signed new 1+1s, so the team decides. Like, if the team wants to keep the entirety of FaZe together, if the organisation decides that, they can. But obviously, if FaZe as a team decide to do something different, then maybe they won't extend one of those contracts, let's say Slasher, for example, and then he will go elsewhere. So just pretty interesting to see, especially with Rostermania upcoming, because the fact of the matter is that Thieves are going to be very good and are likely to stick out, you would imagine. But you look at Seattle Surge, all of them are going to be free agents. Kismetis, Vivid, Fame Real, and others as well. Even, okay, Dashy's going to re-sign, but you get the picture here. So you throw some of those guys into the mix in addition to a lot of the other teams that maybe have guaranteed contracts, but are probably going to make changes anyway by not extending said contracts, then we're going to have a big Rostermania period, I think, especially because a lot of people will know after the World Championship which teams are the teams to beat. Right now, it seems like it's OpTic, FaZe, and Thieves, but, after the World Championship, every other team that actually wants to try and compete will be looking to put together a roster in this title that can do so, and trying to find players that can make that happen, that have achieved something so far this season. Let's dive into this hacking drama then, because, man, every year this is a big talking point, and it's getting worse and worse. I think the problem is that happens is that this Ricochet or whatever it's called, anti-cheat arrives into the game, and the hacking websites, I guess, just over time find better ways to get around it, and the Activision anti-cheat doesn't really keep up with those developments, so there's cheaters all over the place, basically. And there's been some discussion the last few days on players that have been doing it. Even, you know, Shane says Mikey's the new ringleader for cheaters because this guy's been dropping like 56 kills, 56 in 8 here in a hardpoint. That's not too bad against some solid players at that. And I did see some gameplay last night from Simp and Arcitys, I believe, playing against this Mikey guy, and I think it was pretty much undisputed that that he's maybe not fully legitimate here. Even Mikey himself tweets out he reformed at his bio, and he's dropping 76 kills on a Fortress hardpoint. So I don't think this guy's particularly legit. I've seen some gameplay. It doesn't look so good. But let's say in some remarkable world he actually is legit. This is the problem that players run into in the Challenger side. And certainly in ranked play, we know JoeDeceives is kind of known. Okay, he was known outside, but he was known predominantly last year for being the ranked play kid that was mixing it up with Central at the top of the Vanguard leaderboards. It's players in that category that are, let's just say you're frying the pros in ranked. A lot of the pros are going to think, oh, this guy's just cheating. And unless you're completely undeniable and you can prove otherwise somehow, then, you know, that's going to be a general perception. It's been the thing for years in esports. It's always been a thing that even players like Cellium, right, people thought he was keyboarding back in the day. If you guys know about Counter-Strike, you'll know about the story of Rops and some other players thinking he was cheating. He had to fly to like the FaZe headquarters or something with Karrigan to prove that he wasn't cheating in person, and he's actually teamed with Karrigan now. So this has always been a thing that happens where pros see someone who's absolutely cooking them and thinking, oh, this guy must be hacking. But even if that is the case for certain innocent players getting called cheaters, you can't really blame the pros, because 99% of people they run into they think are hacking actually probably are, because there's a lot of hackers going around, right? Parasite last night, another cheater in denial. He's talking to Trainwrecks to get him banned on Kick, I guess, actually, because of this. So it's all kicking off lately. And even as Parasite says, these are the steps that he is trying to take and is encouraging people to take to stop the hackers. We saw the other day he, submitted like 50 requests for cheaters to get banned. I don't know how many of them will be. I don't know how like closely Infinity Ward monitors this stuff, but it's just frustrating, right? Because I know that Shotzzy mentioned, I think it was on the Eavesdrop podcast with Hex, that there's so many people coming into Shotzy's chat that have never watched competitive COD before. They found his stream because they want to watch the best players play ranked play, because they've been playing ranked, so they want to see who the best players are, who the pros are that play it. They've been coming into Shotzy's stream and now they're like, okay, Shotzzy plays OpTic, maybe I'll tune into some of their games. It's a really cool development for the scene that ranked has been popping off, and it's been one of the reasons why the last few months of Call of Duty have been very good compared to what we have previously seen. But unfortunately, it doesn't last forever without some good maintenance, and this is the issue that the pros are now running into. Embos has been trying to play it as well. Ranked players ruins now. Imagine cheating at a video game as a grown man, he says, which is, absolutely bang on the money. But Bose is not the only one talking about this. Ghosty last night says ranked play blender, and he gets in for roughly 30 minutes. It's kind of like the formal tweet where he says, woke up, I don't know what it is, like, woke up feeling dangerous, and then it's like lost full or something. I'm feeling good today, and then lost full like within 5 minutes afterwards. And this is the tweet that Ghosty does slightly later on. The cheating in ranked is actually getting out of hand, and even aBeZy replies, it's every other game now, he reckons, and the stream snipers as well. This is the other issue that you run into. If you stream without much of a delay, then you've got people on the other team got your stream up on the side. They're looking at where you are, especially in Search and Destroy, and they're going to capitalize. So just wanted to share a couple of clips here. One of them I thought was pretty funny from Dashy, who was frying kids in ranked, and just because of how prevalent the cheaters are, is that maybe I'm hacking looking at some of this gameplay.
Oh my god.
Wait, what guys? Bottom pool.
Bottom pool going out, bottom pool, right side. Right
Whoa.
side.
Whoa.
Second.
I feel invincible.
Game over. There's 3 rank characters looking down there. No
Oh.
Very attacking, brother.
Dashy season tag.
Yeah, I might be hacking too, though.
I'll stay in the whole lot.
Whoa, I just hit biod. This guy's on me, guy. Whoa. I got you. Stay down. Wait, low pool. Dead. I don't know if that's him. It's top maps.
Playing maps. First playing maps.
Another one in it. Nice, another one maps. I don't know if you killed him.
Not sure.
You're good again.
Oh shit, front.
Front now.
Yeah.
You be the settings, bro. Like in Black Ops, like 6'6". What's that?
No. I'm gonna keep it 102, Griffin. You are f***ing hideous, brother. You smell like ass.
You are
hideous, brother. GG's though.
I just checked. I'm gone, bro.
Somebody in my chat.
Mars.
Somebody.
I'm on Jupiter.
Somebody in my chat said, "Report that Luther." Yeah, that's gonna do something, guys. That'll show.
Like,
That'll
I got
show.
Spence on the job, bro. Trust.
That'll show him, guys.
I say, report that loser.
Yeah, guys. Wrong. Report him.
We'll get them together.
Even as Ghosty goes on to say, I generally think there's less real players than there are hackers, right? And it's just frustrating because that was the whole promise. They took ages to even bring an anti-cheat into the game. It was always a big talking point with Warzone and the like, and now it's in there, and it doesn't really seem to do that much, to be honest. And it's frustrating because Treyarch, I feel like, have done such a great job with this ranked play mode. They've made it into one of the best they've ever had in Call of Duty, especially for what it's done. But fundamentally, Infinity Ward make the game, Activision and Infinity Ward, I guess, put the anti-cheat together. And the other issue with ranked right now is just that I'm sure for many it's getting kind of stale. How many Fortress Search and Destroys can you play before you give up on life? Feels like it can only be so many from my perspective, right? And this is the promise and the hope, of course, that next season there will be way more maps into the game. If you look at, good games, let's say Counter-Strike, right? The maps in that game are so great and, legendary and always solid from a competitive perspective that you're not really going to get bored playing them. And even if you do, there's so many nuances that you can't really get bored playing the maps in Counter-Strike. Whereas in Call of Duty, the maps just aren't great, let's be honest here. And in order to maintain the player base over a long time, especially at the higher level and even at the lower levels with all the hackers you tend to run into, it's just difficult to make it work. And this is the thing that Ghosty and the code decide, you know what, we've had enough of playing ranked, we're just going to play some 8s. And they play some 8s here with a very interesting team, actually. So Ghosty, MC, that of course Cellium, aBeZy and Huke. So a mix and match of the FaZe and OpTic team versus Shotzzy, Fellow, Simp and Parasite. So another kind of mix and match there with Fellow and Parasite on the other team. So definitely an interesting team. They play a couple of games. I believe this is one of the screenshots last night. Kind of, I must admit, a bit unfair teams. You could argue here with Ghosty, aBeZy, Cell and Co. On one team, they win this Embassy point 250 to 143, but they eventually decided, right, and these guys have understandable reasons, that they will just not even bother playing ranked anymore. Will say it as well, Simp playing 8s here is quite unusual. Simp has not been a player that's done much 8s over the last several seasons. He doesn't feel like it helps his gameplay, but maybe he does want to do the Drazah and just put in way more extra time. And even as Arcitys says, gotta retire streaming until the hacking stream snipers go away. It was a movie. So yeah, he reckons some people are hacking and stream sniping, an absolute shambles. And this is just what I wanted to mention on the Shotzzy side, that he's been doing so well with the ranked content over the last couple of months. It's still popping off, right? Don't get me wrong. I mean, look at his YouTube channel. It's still popping off even over the last couple of days. The views he's getting now is pretty similar to what he was getting a while ago, but still the views he was getting maybe 3-4 weeks ago on his ranked play stuff compared to today is maybe a little bit lower. And I think you can trace that back in part to the player base in ranked probably waning somewhat due to the hackers in part that, I mean, frankly, they've got to sort of real anti-cheat out. They thought it was going to happen, but it seemingly doesn't. And also, I just think the game is going to get inevitably somewhat stale, given it's just not particularly good, no matter how good the ranked mode is. So I think we're really hoping that they can maintain this well going into next year, and that's largely going to take, if it is going to be the same game again, which we think that it is, a big map pack drop. The other concern I do have a little bit is that the pros get a bit stuck in their ways, right? We know this in the past, that once they banned snipers once, they tried to do it every single year since then, even if the snipers really aren't overpowered. And would you be massively surprised if all these new maps arrive into the game and are playable and the pros say, actually, no, I prefer to play Fortress Search, I don't want to try like High Rise or whatever, right? Whatever they bring in. So yeah, a little bit concerned about that one, but hopefully the CDL force a bit of a change, because we need this to be revamped somewhat. It's going to be a few months until it is, but otherwise we might be losing out in the near term on one of the most positive things for the competitive scene this season. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.